Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's edition of HR Mentorship Series. Tonight, we have one of our core admin team members, ladies and gentlemen, Aderele Amosu, who is facilitating on the topic, A People-First Culture Where Employees Thrive. My name is Oluyemi Adeosun, and I would like to read, just for the benefit of a few of us who may just be getting to know or meet LaRue for the first time, either via this live webinar or through the recorded session on YouTube, Aderele Amosu. Ladies and gentlemen, he has over 15 years of cross-sector HR experience, spanning telecommunication, oil and gas, fintech, logistics, tech mobility, and so on and so forth. He's a seasoned people and culture leader, and he currently has the HR function, at a leading debt asset purchasing firm. He supports Series A fundraising efforts. Previously, he served as Vice President of People and Analytics at a mobile technology company, advancing towards Series C, further solidifying his strategic HR leadership in high-growth environment. Series A and Series C are funding types, in case somebody is wondering what we are talking about. Maybe that's another topic for Aderele to consider, how to support HR for those kind of environment. Ladies and gentlemen, he holds a degree in English from the University of Lagos, a diploma in HR management. He also is a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, ACIPM, one of the people that are long overdue for ACIPM. Maybe the next time he's speaking, you may already have it. He's working towards regularization. Ladies and gentlemen, he currently serves as ex-officiate 2 for Amuwo Odofin Oshodi Solo CIPM chapter, contributing to HR knowledge and sharing and professional development. Outside work, Aderele enjoys volleyball, non-fiction literature, dancing, and is also a celebrated MC. This one is not on the slide, but let me put it. Aderele is also one of the few people I've had the honor and privilege that our careers intersected. We literally worked together, seeing every day from morning till night. So if I write a letter for Aderele or he writes a letter on my behalf, it's from direct experience. Speaking to us on the topic, A People-First Culture Where Employees Thrive. Please, let's pay attention. As Aderele Amosu.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Adeosun. I think we can release you now to attend to other things. All right. Good afternoon, or sorry, some people are abroad. So good evening, everyone. This is another great opportunity to join us and share knowledge. One thing I can tell you about this webinar is not something that is new to us. I mean, a lot of us are working organizations where we don't even call ourselves HR anymore. Now we're calling ourselves people and culture. But when we call ourselves people and culture, right, is it just another fancy name for the human resource team? Or do we actually, imbibe cultures? Do we change cultures in the organizations we work with? So I'm not promising it's insightful, but I mean, we could learn a few things here on this presentation. So I don't mind if someone on the admin team can just, take notes of, questions. If I'm moving too fast, kindly bring me back. If I'm moving too slow, you can tell me to, speed up. All right. So we're talking about a people-first culture where employees thrive. Now, we've probably heard of the saying that, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So no matter the type of strategy your organization has, if you have a warped culture, right, that strategy can never ever work. And what is culture? Culture is a way of life. Culture is how we do things, right? And you could have negative cultures, you could have positive cultures. But for the purpose of this webinar, we're talking about positive cultures. What characteristics does your organization have, right? Is basically what you would call an organizational body. What is your organization known for? So we're going to talk about, how the cultures, either from the leadership or even from the people, how it ensures that the organization itself thrives. And organizations can only thrive through these people. You could have an organization that is has a multi-billion dollars worth of capital. However, if the people within the organization are not happy, right, within 5 years, multi-billion will turn to million, will turn to thousand, and the next thing here they are closing. For example, you have quite a number of startups that have come up in the last 10 years since the introduction of tech startup and tech taking over organizations. But you hear them raising a lot of money. You hear, oh, this company just raised 10 billion, or this company just became a unicorn, and then at the end of the day, they are no more. Now, the real reason is not because they didn't have a strategy. I mean, for them to have gotten those monies is because they had a strategy. But the underlying thing why those companies did not function anyway is because they did not put the trust in their people. So, like the opening says, imagine a workplace where every decision and strategy starts with one question: how will this impact our people? So, if every decision you are making as an employer doesn't impact on your internal people, then you're already destined for failure. So this is the essence of a people-first culture. It's a philosophy that interweaves the well-being of employees into the very fabric of the company's operations. More than a strategy, it's a commitment to valuing people as the organization's most vital assets. Economics, we have land, you have whatever it is, but people is what actually drives or brings together all these parts of economics to ensure that the organization thrives. So we're going to look at 3 companies that have changed the culture in their organizations. And because of those changes, the organizations have thrived. The first company we are going to look at is Spotify. We all know Spotify. A lot of us have Spotify on our apps. We've forgotten that Apple Music exists because Spotify provides, better products, and, consumer value proposition. So Spotify's people strategy focuses on growth mindset culture that values continuous learning and development. So we are looking at culture in line with learning and development. The company encourages employees to take risks, learn from failure, and embrace new challenges. So what this means that most organizations, someone makes a mistake, right? We don't do a deep dive. Why did this person make a mistake? Was this person trying to correct a norm? Was this person looking for an innovative way to do something they have been doing before? And because they didn't get the necessary guidance, they failed. Most, if we check it, someone makes an error in the office, what do? We query the person. We send warnings. We send the person on suspension. But Spotify looked at it that, no, we are not going to do that. Instead, we are going to allow our employees take risks, right? Let them look at their failures and let them learn from it and embrace new challenges. The Spotify brand manifesto outlines this philosophy and has become the foundation of the company's culture. So it's a case of you fail, you dust yourself up and you try again. Now, the thing about trying again is when you try again, you see the error in the first iteration. Then you do a second iteration. It will be better than the first one, but it may not be at the goal. So imagine by the time you do 5 iterations, you've corrected a lot of mistakes. What you are going to end up churning out is quality products, which is one of the things I love the Chinese for. The Chinese people have a philosophy. You always modify. They say something about you do not change a winning formula. But with the Chinese people, you actually change the winning formula, because when you get too comfortable using the formula, right? Some other guy is somewhere else looking at your formula and saying, how can I make this better? So the Chinese people tell you, when you have a win, if you won with the formula, look for a way to make that formula better. So in terms of performance management, each employee creates an individual development plan. Some companies call it PDP, People Development Plan, right? That outlines their career goals and steps. Managers work with employees to review and update these plans regularly. So in your performance management plan, for instance, everybody has a PDP, but how many of us actually use those PDPs? How many of us at the beginning of a performance management cycle for those who are managers here, meet our direct reports and say, can I see what your plan is for the next quarter, for the next half year, or for the next year? And how can I, as your manager, help you, support you, and help you grow in this set? Or even we that are employees, do we even have goals for ourselves? Do we attain those goals? Or do we I just want to come to work, I want to make some money, I want to just ensure that I get 75% at appraisal so that they don't terminate me? The answer is no. And the only way that an employee can even have that type of mindset is if the leadership team, the managers, help these people develop. So Spotify also supports career mobility by enabling employees to explore new roles and opportunities within the company. Now, I worked in a company, I mean, I think it was the same company where myself and Oliemi met. There was a portion of our performance management that had to do with cross-functional responsibilities. What this means is that, because let's be honest with ourselves, in the 22 working days we have in a month, you can't be busy for all 22. Well, except you have a very rigorous, schedule. But there are instances where you have free time. So that organization encouraged that in your free time, instead of just faffing or chilling or scrolling through Instagram, why don't you approach someone in another department that you know that this is the period where they have to do a lot of heavy lifting, right? And help them, achieve some of their goals. Now, cross-functional duties in our performance management was about 5%. It wasn't a lot, but sometimes that 5% was what moved people away from an A rating to an A-star rating. And because of that, we had a type of career ladder where it got to certain instances where two departments merged and they had a manager that oversaw those functions. So what that does, or what it helped do in Spotify, was that when people were doing cross-functional responsibilities, it allowed them to see, okay, I've tried this year, but every time I go to do some cross-functional function in another department, I seem to excel well. So whenever there were openings in those areas, people were, equipped and built to migrate into those areas. So they had an internal talent marketplace named Echo, which uses AI to match opportunities with current employees. So for every time you achieve a milestone in your PDP, you log it into Echo. Whenever the results from the performance management comes through, you log in through Echo. So whenever there was an opening in Spotify, instead of an external recruitment, what Spotify did was go to Echo and see which of the people in our current organization, through all the learnings that they've had, can move into this role. And it was a seamless recruitment, which will also save time for the recruitment team. The next company we're going to look at is Adobe. And this one I'm very particular about because this is something that currently I do. Now, in March 2012, Donna Morris, who is Adobe's Senior Vice President of Human Resources, told a reporter, "We plan to abolish the annual performance review format." Although this was only one of many changes that Adobe made to its HR process, it's an important milestone in terms of how companies viewed performance management. Adobe has since implemented a series of more frequent and informal check-ins to replace the annual performance review process. These meetings are similar to pit stops in race car competitions. They occur frequently and focus on setting goals, providing feedback, and discussing progress. The shift away from the traditional annual review enables managers to monitor individual performance and provide timely feedback to employees closely. Now, most times, when we are doing performance management in our organization, it usually lasts between 2 weeks to a month. And most organizations, it's almost as if the company is even shutting down that period. Why? Because you want to close out something. HR is chasing employees to fill in their appraisal forms, then chasing the line managers to review. Then it's a very heavy process. Now, what Adobe has done, an extension of what I do, every manager does the check-in. So you can do your check-ins weekly, you can do it monthly. However, but it should for me, it's even more of a monthly thing. So every day we do a Monday morning stand up. Then in between, I'm checking, okay, how far with this, how far with this, how far with this. Now, because I'm on top of the game of every of my direct reports, when I give a task and I'm expecting the task to be completed in 4 days, by day 3 or end of day 2, I'm asking for an update because I want to see if it's going to be achievable. Now, when I'm getting to the end of your SLA for completing that task, and you've not completed it, then I ask you, what went wrong? Is it that you have a busy schedule? Let's look through it. when you have regular check-ins, you do not have to wait to the end of your appraisal cycle to see who is your star employee, who is the slacker, who is piggybacking off the successes of the other members of that team. And you can easily make changes. It's what we call agile HR. The fact that you don't need to wait for the end of something before you now implement a change or before you start making corrections. Agile HR basically is, how do I step in when there's something wrong, right? The moment you notice that there's a slight change from the expectation, right? You are the HR or the people person or the culture person or whatever name you want to call it is on top of their game to say, let's nip this in the bud and let's start making corrections. And that is what Adobe has done. So tech companies these days also have that approach. They don't do your traditional performance management. So they also break down tasks and goals into bite-sized achievements so you can tick it faster, and then your bite-sized achievements, the very minutiae ones, are feeding into the bigger ones and into the departmental ones and into the organizational goals for the year or for the quarter. Now, when you have this sort of structure, what you have this sort of structure, what happens is that you easily discuss progress, you mark progresses on time, and then you can implement whatever offshoots of those performances at the end of a period. You don't have to wait for end of the year to do promotions. You don't have to wait for end of a cycle to terminate. You don't have to wait for end of another cycle to do PIP, because one of the disadvantages of having to wait till the end is, so someone has 3 months to achieve goals. At the end of the 3 months, you have the performance management discussion. You see the person did not achieve it. You now put the person on PIP. Meanwhile, by month 1 or towards the end of month 1, you can see that this person is going to fail. So why don't you immediately say, you know what, guy, let's review your KPIs and let's see how well we can help you, so that by the end of when we have so I call it like an imaginary performance cycle. When we get to the end of our imaginary performance cycle, you'll have hit your milestones, you'll have hit your targets. The third one we're going to look at is Cisco. We all know Cisco. Cisco is a global IT firm that does a lot of cloud storage and software duties. So Cisco is committed to creating an inclusive culture where employees feel valued and respected. They have employee resource groups that support diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and offer training and development programs to help employees build their DEI skills. Now, in summation, what this is, DEI is a phenomenon that has been in HR or has gained serious ground in HR in the last 5 to 10 years. And that's because people wanted to see a shift from, you just have a male-dominated leadership, to having an inclusive leadership, having women. For global organizations, they wanted to move from, because we are domiciled in a European country, we should have predominantly white people on our leaderships. Where we're now spreading out, we're sending people from our home countries to the other countries, whereas we can actually develop managers in individual countries that would rise to our leadership status. So they also now have what you call an employee resource group. For instance, you will have a resource group that addresses to just women affairs within the organizations. Now, those kind of people that have women affairs in the organizations, where they are doing policies that are focused on things like maternity, is the people within that resource group that would come up with those policies, because they are women. They understand their bodies better. So what do? You bring them in together and say, how do you think we can have a maternity policy that would address everybody, every woman in this organization, and they will be satisfied, right? Where there are other focus groups that address things around employee engagement. What they do is they look for who are those people that are culture champions within that organization. they put them into a focus groups. Those are the guys that come up with ideas that push, engagement within the organization. So Cisco's approach to another thing they now did is their approach to flexible work arrangements that appealed to their employees. It allows them to better balance their work and personal lives and encourage a highly supportive company culture. So one of the things I didn't include in this side while I was doing the research on this, one of the initiatives Cisco has is their vacation policy, where some of us do after 6 months you can now go on annual leave, or after 1 year you go on annual leave. In Cisco, what they will tell you is if you log in a certain amount of hours, including of overtime, you are free to have 3 days. You can decide to stretch it so that you can have a longer holiday period. But what they did was sometimes when you see that you've worked so hard, you've clocked in a lot of hours, Oga, go and rest, go and chill. And it is the culture team that keeps sending you reminders that you have logged in this amount of hours. It's time for you to take a break. Whereas here, and I'm without calling any organization, I apply for leave. They tell you, why do you want to go on leave? Don't you see that we have a lot of things to do? We forget that there's the diminishing return that sets in because somebody has been going to work consistently for 6 months and needs to have a refresher. So data from the Cisco Global Hybrid Work Study revealed that 73 of their global workers feel more motivated when allowed to work remotely, and 60% feel more closely connected to their organization. And geographical distance doesn't erode bonds between employees, with 61% of employees claiming their relationship with their teammates are now stronger. So they have employee engagement sessions. They have team bonding sessions, and their team bonding most times is even remote, right? They tell you, today we're all going to have coffee and we're going to discuss things outside work, and everybody turns on their laptops, and you see people saying, oh, this is the coffee I bought today, this is the mug I'm drinking it in, and everybody's just happy discussing what? Coffee, right? They're mentally shutting down from work. And because of that, by the time they are finishing that engagement, HR has sent a mail to say this is the next engagement. Everybody is looking forward to it. And people are closing out their tasks faster because, instead of enjoyment, I want to be a part of it. So that is what Cisco's approach to creating a company culture is. So now we're going to talk about understanding people first culture. The first thing we're going to look at is empathy and support. You can't talk about culture without talking about empathy. You can't call yourself a people leader without having empathy, without providing support. So management practices empathy actively, listening to employee concerns and striving to understand their challenges and needs. How many of us as leaders, as employers, even HR itself, because HR is supposed to be the people guide, do you have employees come to tell you their issues? And that is not saying that employees don't come with the most frivolous of ideas or frivolous, requests. But how many of you have employees come to meet you and you turn them back? We do not realize that when we turn them back, for this person to have come to meet you, and I have that belief that when an employee comes to meet HR, it's because they have thought long and hard and they've not been able to get answers to the questions that have puzzled them. So when you turn that person back, what have you done? You've made that person feel bad. You've made that person feel worse than before they came to meet you, right? And the summation in their brain is HR doesn't care about us, or my line manager doesn't care about me. My manager is just interested in what I have to deliver. So one of the things I do is when someone comes to me, if it's something that I can put aside what I'm doing and attend to the person, I make it a point of duty to do it. Where I can't immediately do it, I look up with a smile on my face. And I know a lot of HR people, because I joke about it a lot, say HR people are a certain type of way, but I look up with a smile on my face and I say, do you mind if you come back in the next 10 minutes? And please, when you make such a promise of an employee or a direct report, please leave up to the 10 minutes. If you know you're not going to make it in that 10 minutes, send the person the message to say, I'm running a little bit late. Can you come back another 10 minutes? but just ensure that you are there to listen. Because one of the things one of the skills HR needs to always have is listening. Now, if you are the listening type, empathy comes naturally to you. And empathetic people are usually the ones that give a lot of support. I know we all have different types of characteristics or characters as human beings, but one of the things that you need to learn is acquired. Not everybody is born with it. Some of us acquire it. For me, I used to be a very temperamental person, and I had very low tolerance of people. But across my career, I've had to learn empathy. I've had to learn how to be tolerant. And I think I've gotten to the point where it's become second skin for me. Now, another part of people first culture is transparency. You can't always hide under, oh, it's confidential. You can't always hide under it's confidential. There are instances where you need to let people know what is going on. There are many times people HR, seriously, what is going on here? What is going on here? The moment what is going on is a lot. And that is the point you need to have a town hall meeting to say, guys, we hear you, and we need to let you know these are the things. From finances to operations to change in leadership, you need to always carry your people along, because open and honest communication is standard. It fosters trust and clarity between all levels of the organization. It is not when someone comes to you and says, you people did not tell us this, so how are we supposed to know? Now, if you are not transparent from the get-go, that is when your employees or your direct reports always come to you to keep asking questions. The next part is employee empowerment. Give employees the autonomy to make decisions, which not only enhances engagement, but also boosts their confidence and sense of responsibility. Managers tend to want to be the one to direct and tell their direct reports, this is how you should do it. This is how I want you to do it. How about just give them the framework and see what they can build, and then use whatever successes or failures to be a teachable moment for them or to them. Now, one of the things I like about, and I'm sure we have a lot of them on this call, Gen Zs, is the need for empowerment. A lot of us say, Gen Zs are difficult to work with, they are this, they are that, but the reality is they want to be decision makers. They want to be a part of the process. The moment you tell a Gen Z, no, it has to be my way or the highway, trust me, the first thing they'll call you is toxic. But the reality is, you think you are not toxic, but you are creating a toxic place, because this person and that is the thing. You see that development goal, Gen Zs embody it a lot. Gen Zs are telling you, in 5 years I want to be this, in this year I want to be this. Meanwhile, my generation and generation before me are just looking for job security. Let me just put my head somewhere so that I am not, I just make my bread and go. But Gen Z is not looking at it that way. They want to be empowered. They want to do a lot of things. And that is why they churn out quite a lot of ideas every time. So the moment you remove the autonomy for people to freely express themselves or their ideas, right? That is the beginning of you saying, I don't need you as an employee. I'll do it myself. And the last part is recognition and appreciation. How many of us tell our direct reports, oh, good job, well done? The only time we probably do it is during appraisal. And that's a fact. You just put in that small box, that's a any manager's comment. Adenile has done well in the last quarter. No. How about you gave the person a task? The person completed the task. You respond on the email to say, this is an excellent job. Thumbs up. In the place I met, we had what we used to do where you could leave emoticons on people's tasks because they did something well. How about tell your IT guys or the people in your team to create those type of scenarios where managers can leave emoticons, can leave thumbs up for their direct reports because they have done a job well done. Recognize people for the job they've done. Because the moment you don't let someone know that you've done a good job, what is at the back of their mind is, have I really done well? This man did not see anything. This person did not see anything. And then they begin to have self-doubt on whether they did job well or not. So you need to always recognize and appreciate the effort and achievements of your employees. Other characteristics of people first culture. Number one is inclusivity. A strong commitment to diversity and inclusion ensures that all employees feel welcome, respected, and valued, regardless of their background. I had a session, a team bonding session for an Islamic investment company some while back, about 2-3 years ago. And the guy, we went to Ibadan for their team bonding. And while we're waiting at the train station, I mean, all of them were clustered, and you could see. And when I say Islamic, they were Islamic. All the ladies in that company had hijabs. The guys had the traditional, 3/4 pants. Some of them had the cap, the goatee character, but you could see that they were financial people. And then I now noticed another group of people joining and mingling with them. One of them had braids. One was a lady that wasn't covering her hair and whatnot. So during the CEO's report and whatnot, and we're having questions and answers, I mean, I just cheated. I said, I'm seeing a different set of people. I know how traditional Islamic financial institutions are, but I'm seeing a guy with braids, and I know how those set of people are towards people with braids. And the man said that it was a DI policy that they had to inculcate into their system. They were looking for a particular skill set. And because it was an Islamic organization, he was narrowing himself into just looking for Islamic people with those skill sets. And it was costing his company a lot of money every day that they didn't have that person. So he spoke to his mentor, who was a liberal Muslim, and that one said, see, sometimes if you can't get what you want, look for a good alternative. So the mentor told him, look for someone who does DEI trainings. Let them prepare the mind or the mindset of your existing employees. Then start bringing in those people that ordinarily do not fit into the organization. And you could see that DEI policy really worked for the organization, because there was no, because you have the guy who had the braids was really talking to the lady who was in the burqa or in the hijab. But the lady who didn't even have any covering was having serious banter with the guys who were traditionally dressed as, called Muslims. And that was because they already had a prepared mind that we need to get work done. At the end of the day, work needs to go on. So I'm not going to look at this person because we have, we come from different backgrounds. Work has to be done. So that organization put its people first and said, you know what, we want to achieve a lot in this organization. Because we have to do that, we have to be inclusive as an organization. The next portion is the development opportunities. As an organization, you need to always look for, new ways to ensure that people are developed. Because once you develop your people, they also look for innovative ways of developing the organization by extension. So continuous learning and development are integral. Providing employees with the tools and skills needed to grow both personally and professionally. I know organizations that say, if I train this person, it takes that knowledge and goes somewhere else. But you are poaching other people. It's not the person that you just employed, right? Probably got some knowledge from their own company and brought it to you. For me, I see it as a cycle. If I lose talent, I will gain talent somewhere else. So I'm not going to stop the development of my people just because I am afraid that I will lose those talents. Plus, if you're even doing that and you're supporting employees, I don't think any employee who has gained so much, knowledge within an organization would be quick to leave that organization. And how does it differ from traditional corporate cultures? Traditional corporate cultures often prioritize the bottom line. All we are looking for is we've set a target that we must hit 3 million. You don't want to know how you're going to hit the $3 million. That is all you want. If it means you're going to fire people to hit the 3 million, that is what you're going to do. Meanwhile, firing people is not the answer. They are focusing on efficiency, profitability, and shareholder value at the potential expense of employee satisfaction and engagement. When Toyota came up with the slogan, good thinking, good products, they came up with that slogan from a people side of things. The other car makers then were surpassing Toyota in terms of sales. And Toyota was wondering, why are these guys making more sales than us? We have good products. And they had a survey. And the end of the survey was the people's ideas were not taken into perspective when they were churning out their car designs. At that time, Toyota was copying the car designs of Honda a lot. They were waiting for Honda to release a car, and then they would make something similar and then push out. The moment they realized that Honda was allowing ideas, Toyota also took that and started allowing their ideas. Now, the ideas led to very low cost production. For them, that is why till date, Toyota still has, even for a car that looks very luxury, it's still the cheapest when you compare it to other cars within their space. So they now realize that they needed to allow their people to be inclusive in the decision making. From their production line to the manufacturing to the sourcing, people were bringing in ideas. For the first time that year, they surpassed all other car makers in terms of profits. And that's where that slogan started, good thinking, good products. Because it was the thinking of the whole organization and not just one person. And that was why they were able to churn out good products. Now, we can be talking about HR. But sometimes it's not HR. It's also the leadership. But then HR also needs to guide leadership in ensuring that they shape the culture right. And the first point they need to do is the types of decisions they make. We need to transition from traditional cultures. Decisions mostly are usually top-down in traditional cultures, while in people-first environment, employee input is encouraged and valued at all levels. So when I talk about focus groups, the reason for focus groups is because most of those organizations want to move away from the CEO and every other C-suite is thinking about how to move that company forward or how to create new ideas for the company. So what they are now doing is, let's create focus groups a focus group for finance, a focus group for operations, a focus group for people, and let's generate ideas. There was a company I worked for where we're split into 11 focus groups. And every month, each group had to come and pitch an idea for the organization. And in December, we all teams come together and then we vote the best idea. And I think the group was given, was it 2 million naira back then to push those ideas. I have never seen competition like that in my life. Everybody, because then this was far back as 2017. 22 million in 2017 was a lot of money, right? People were fighting tooth and nail. And the focus groups wasn't departmental, it cut across everything. So you will see someone in their own department hiding ideas from the next person because they needed to win that money, right? So when you have focus groups where people are allowed to be free in giving out information, they have an input in shaping the organization, it shapes the culture. Performance metrics. Traditional cultures might measure success strictly through financial outcomes and productivity metrics. A people-first culture considers employee satisfaction, retention rates, and well-being as key indicators of success. Because think about it, if you do an EMPS today, and you see that your detractor score is more than your promoter score, right? It means that your culture is bad. Or you are doing your regular HR metrics and your retention rate is higher than what you expect it to be, then it shows that the culture of that organization is bad. So once you realize that both your employee satisfaction rating and your retention rating is on the high side, then it means that this is the point that leadership needs to look at the culture of the organization. And then the leadership style itself. What type of leadership style is being preached within the organization? Leadership in traditional corporate environments may be authoritative and hierarchical because why? They always want to be top down, top down, top down. So if CEO is bossing C-suites, C-suites will boss managers, managers will boss team leads will boss employees, and then it becomes a grab type of environment. But where you have a leadership that checks in on people, asks. When I worked in the bank one time, one of the things we did was we didn't have walls. There were no, this is HR's office, this is finance office. Maybe we had those type of clusters, but me in HR could be backing the CEO or could be backing the head of department or somewhere. And because we had a lot of people hear a lot of conversations, it allowed for free flow of information. It allowed for ideas to flow freely within that organization, right? So there was no real, I think the only person that had an office was the CEO. That was the only, every other person was together, right? So it created more collaboration. It created more support. Also, you could visually see struggles of other people and be ready to help them. So let's talk about the impact of leadership and the types of leadership styles. So the first one is empathetic leadership. Leaders who show empathy and genuine care about their employees' personal and professional well-being inspire loyalty and high morale among teams. One of the things I like to do is called the HR walk around. So I don't just come into my office, I sit down and I start doing what I need to do for the day. I'll stand up. I first go and check on my team. Hi guys, how are you doing? I don't start with what are we doing this week? How was your weekend? Now to know. You that you went for one day. Oh yeah, now show me the picture of what you wore. Let's see this thing. Then because I first want to create a relaxed mindset for the person. Then I ask, oh okay, oh nice. So where were we last week? What have we done? That way, the person is not going to be jittery in giving me feedback because I've made that person feel a lot relaxed. Another thing I do is just go check people. Sometimes I'm walking around, I'm seeing someone put their head down, I'm asking, are you okay? You need something? Do you want to go to the breakout room and just lay your head down? Oh, no. I just ask questions. The fact that you go around, you're not being a busybody. You're actually checking to see who is well, who needs support. And when you do this a few times, the day you don't do it, someone will come and check up on you. HR, you've not come to look at us today. And they know that maybe HR is busy, but the person will come and check on, HR, we've not seen you on the floor today. Are you okay? Do you need help? That is when someone will even now offers to help HR. The next point is the democratic leadership. It's that involves sharing decisions with the team. So a leader that says, so team, how can we? He's not saying, oh team, this is how I. The person uses more of we's, ours, rather than me and I. That's an inclusive and a democratic leader because the person wants to significantly enhance the employee's sense of ownership and satisfaction. The final one is a transformational leader. Now, this one might be a bit technical, right? But what this person does more is inspire their team. He's an inspirational leader, he's a motivational leader. He's telling you, guys, this thing is not working, right? But let me charge you, let me inspire you, let me tell you, oh, this is how it can be done. Oh, you've been doing it this way. No, this is not how you do it. Have you tried it this way? He inspires you. Or he sees the person that has not been doing well and says, no, I don't see you as a cat, I see you as a lion. He will release that lion in you. Roar, you can't do better, right? A transformational leader seeks to look for how to ensure that even the weak person within their team, right, can find their strength and develop and reign on that strength to ensure that they achieve their goals and their targets. So, how can we, as HR and leadership by extension, like lead by example And that's by demonstrating care and respect for our employees. One, personal involvement. Now, I'm not saying, I'm one of those people that, yeah, you can have friends in the organization, but at least you know you're there to work, you're there to contribute. But sometimes a little bit of personal touch. You see the next person behind you is not their bubbly self. Ask, are you okay? Is there something going on? Are you having personal challenges? Because we see instances where the employee who has been a star employee has a dip in performance, and we are ready to castigate the person instead of asking questions on, is there something you are going through that is making you not churn out the expected results I expect of someone of your level? Talk to me. What is the issue? So you need to take time to get to know employees. You need to understand their challenges and be involved in their professional development. I'm not saying you need to know where they are living or be interested in the child or why the child. Just those, surface things that just allow people realize that this person thinks about me or this person cares about me. The next point is visibility and accessibility. Being physically and emotionally present and making one available to discuss issues and achievements. I mentioned in previous slides, right? I'm not HR and I'm locked in a box. I'm HR that people see. My door is open. We talk about open door policy, but how many of us actually live the open door policy lifestyle? The moment I come into your office, you're telling me, please don't disturb me. And if you know you're the type that people's presence just takes or distracts you, why don't you create a communication mechanism for team members or for employees to have, time for you? For me, I block out 1 hour of my free time, and if nobody comes to meet me that period, I'll just quickly scroll on Instagram and then go back to work. But then I create time for people to say, oh, HR, most of the time I just tell most of my staff, because my own break time is not their break time. So I say, okay, during your break, you want to see me? It's there, everybody. So I'll just get a Slack message. HR, please, can I come and see you during break? Oh, yes, by all means, come and see me during break. Right? Because they have a need, and they need me to attend to their needs. Either it's from because they are not getting support from their team leads or their managers, or even because they have seen something within the organization that doesn't appeal to them or has made them feel uncomfortable. And I need to address those things. The next one is consistent recognition, which we had mentioned. Regularly acknowledging and rewarding efforts and accomplishments in a meaningful way. For those who are working in sales-driven organizations, how many times do you do salesperson of the month and then have a picture, paste it? How many of you see someone go over and beyond for the organization and you openly celebrate it? Do you have to wait for December during company award night before you? No. Because most often than not, if you have to wait to the end of a period, you will only remember the people that perform closer to when that happened. Meanwhile, someone that has done exceptionally did it in January, but because you are doing your own reward and recognition in December, the chances of you forgetting is very high. So you need to do it regularly and document it so that if you now want to do an all-inclusive and holistic reward this thing, you know that there's a document you can refer to that's okay, this person was January then. Maybe you now want to do, let's compare every month's individual contributions and see which one went over and beyond, and that this person will celebrate in December. Also, prioritizing well-being. Implementing and advocating for policies that promote mental, emotional, and physical health. Luckily, we have HMOs that address this for us. But many of us do not realize that our HMOs provide mental and emotional. Most of the time, everybody just thinks HMO and thinking about, I have malaria and I go to the hospital. There are HMOs where if you go and look at your HMO, the policy that was shared with the HMO, and see some of the products that the HMO offers, a lot of them are around mental and emotional. But many of us don't know this. So we as HR need to go back and look at those things and share it. Oh, are you going through something and you need someone to talk to and you feel that we in this organization cannot address this? Do you know? So you can have like a do you know policy or the do you know screenshot and send it. Do you know that our HMO offers emotional and mental doctors that you can speak to. So you need to prioritize their well-being, because an organization that has healthy employees is also a healthy organization. But the moment you see employees, maybe you look at your absenteeism, for instance, and you say that a lot of people have been sick. Are you even addressing it? That, come on, if people have been sick this period, what are you doing at HR when you download your leave utilization, and say that you have a lot of sick people and you're not doing anything about it? Meanwhile, all you just need to do is, maybe people have not been taking leaves, and that is why people have been falling sick. That's the moment you now need to look at, okay, this thing, or these are the number of outstanding leaves for these people. Start scheduling leaves for them. Be proactive, schedule those leaves. Let people go and declutter their mind. Let people go and rest. And let them come back. They'll be refreshed, they'll be renewed. So as leaders, we need to demonstrate these things to ensure that we're getting the best of our teams. So I need to move on because of time, and we need to take a lot of questions. Creating a support and inclusion. So one of the things you need to start is having a comprehensive diversity training. Like I mentioned, that company was about to start something new, something novel, something that has never been done before, and they knew that there might be a pushback, or people might be antagonizing the people that don't fit within the organization. So the first thing they had to do was to arrange a diversity training, so it prepares the minds of those employees. So you need to conduct regular training sessions that not only address diversity and inclusion, but also cover unconscious bias and cultural competencies. These sessions help employees understand different perspectives and foster a more inclusive environment. Diverse hiring practices. So I'll speak to both local and international. So for local, they're within a geographical, I don't want to use Lagos, because Lagos is a potpourri of Nigerians. Let me say, Oyo, for instance. Are you going to say, because your organization is in Oyo and it's a predominantly Yoruba state, you're not going to employ someone from the east or someone from the north? What if the solution to your organization is someone from those regions? Or, oh no, this particular job, I think it's only a guy that can do it. No. Women are doing things. At least these days, I'm beginning to see quite a number of women doing predominantly male roles. They've broken ceilings and they've broken barriers within roles. Things that we never thought we would see in the 60s, 70s, or in the 18th century, women are doing them now. So you need to implement a hiring practice that is designed to attract a diverse candidate pool. Instead of having a myopic or a narrow-minded side of trying to hire, increase the pool. You will definitely see a lot more when your pool is increased. And this can include posting job listings in diverse forums, using diverse hiring panels, and ensuring job descriptions are inclusive. That's why sometimes I'm sad when I see people post jobs and I'm saying only women can apply, only so and so can apply. And I mean, for me, who has worked in different organizations and I've worked with different levels of people, when I see those kind of things, I try to look at places I've worked and say, which one operated this kind of, and did it work for us when we had this type of hiring practice? You don't need to put it there. If maybe that's what you even want to do at the end of it, don't put it there, because you're sending a wrong message to prospective candidates when you strictly narrow down certain things, like, oh, only men should apply, only women should apply, only this should apply. No, make it all inclusive. Also, have clear anti-discrimination policies. Establish and enforce clear policies that prohibit discrimination and harassment. Ensure these policies are communicated effectively to all employees, and that they are straightforward procedures for reporting violations. Because some people have ideas, and their line manager doesn't take the ideas, they go and tell HR, and HR is having a conversation with line manager about, decided this person has shared this group, and then the line manager now uses that opportunity to victimize their employees. That's wrong. So you need to create policies that also protect the rights and interests of people. Your whistleblowing policy is one of those kind of policies, right? Or a policy that people can report things that it may not be someone's direct involvement. For instance, maybe the cleaner did not clean. Your company is big on health and safety, but then your cleaner for didn't clean a particular spot and people keep passing there, right? You should be able to walk up and say, you know that we're a safety conscious organization. There's water somewhere. There might be a slip and fall, right? So people should always have the opportunity to come to you to report things, to escalate things without them being victimized for those escalations. Are we together? Now, one of the strategies that we can have for building an inclusive workplace, I've mentioned this before, so I'm not going to go deep into it, is employee resource groups, which is formation of resource ERGs for various groups such as women groups, LGBTQ employees. That's because I believe a lot of my people here are also outside Nigeria, and some of us want to jackpot. Some of us really, I know 3 people on this call right now that are writing IELTS. So by the time you go to your Canada and this time you're working in organizations, you don't start looking at people because they belong to the LGBTQ community and racial minorities, right? You don't look at someone because this person is Igbo or this one is outside and you now look down on them. No, you need to be inclusive with everybody. Now, these groups can provide support networks and contribute to personal and professional development. Another one is accessible work environments. Organizations have started employing people living with disabilities. So you have someone who probably doesn't use crutches and uses a wheelchair. Does the organization even have a wheelchair ramp? Are you thinking about that person? Or you have a visually impaired person working in your organization. Do your doors have motion sensors so that once that person is approaching, without having to feel for the door automatically opens? There are lots and loads of technologies that companies can actually get that help physically challenged people. And this supports their health and also their productivity. Because think about that visually impaired person, that mobilely impaired person who goes to an organization and all these things are being catered to them. They will give in their best. And the chances of them moving to another organization is even lower. And then the importance of diversity and equality in a people-first culture. Diversity and equality are not just beneficial for the individuals involved. They are crucial for the health and success of the entire organization. So some of the things we can do: comprehensive health benefits, mental health resources, ergonomic work environments. Are your chairs even comfortable enough for your people? Do your people always complain, HR, my back is paining me, all these type of chairs? So even when you're providing these work stations for them, are you thinking about they should just have table and chair? How about having comfortable tables and chairs? How about for the people that will ask, oh, I need those laptop stands? Provide it if you have the money to provide it. Or tell them, oh, if you move your chair this way or you adjust it this way, your face will be at eye level with your laptops. Have regular health and wellness programs. HMOs do this. They'll tell you, please, when can I come and speak to my employees? But people are forming as if your organization is the busiest organization in the world, that you can't even give your HMO provider that is coming to talk to your employees for free 30 minutes to have a conversation. Or even have programs. For me now, free of charge, I'll even give you, because I'll do it, man. Next month, August, is our health month in my organization. And there are 2 things I want to do. One is who is going to shed the most weight in a month, or who is going to be the longest distance runner for the month. These are things I want to do because I'm trying to also create a healthy and wellness program for my organization. All right. So we need to search. And I'm sure if you go through your mails, if you go through some of your notes, there are quite a number of issues that employees have always been coming to discuss with us that we have not made any efforts to changing. This is the opportunity and the call to action to say, you know what, maybe we need to work on these things. I know most of us usually tie of these things to a lot of us tie some of these things to it's going to be expensive. It's going to be very expensive for us. So what can I do that is not going to be a lot of money? Sometimes get the people within your organization to help you build those products. Get people within that ERG, get people to share ideas that you can be self-sufficient as an organization to develop those things without having to rely on external parties or external communities, but you'll be able to achieve a lot with it. So when you implement, some of the things you need to implement, flexible work arrangements if you can afford it, unplugging policies. So meaning unplugging policies is, are there moments where people can unplug from work just to be themselves and relax, take time off, pay time off, or any other type of time off? My organization, when you go on leave, will block your mail. Nobody, so that nobody disturbs you. It's your time off. You need to block. You need to declutter, right? Pay time off. Support for family obligations. If your company is large enough to have a crèche, so that when nursing mothers resume, they have a place to keep their babies. Because think about it, a nursing mother who probably did not get a nanny before she resumed, her mind is always going to be where that baby is. But think about it, the baby is just 2 rooms away. That she knows that, okay, while she needs to stretch her leg, she can quickly run to the nursery, check on her baby, and come back. Right? Or even giving parents flexible hours to attend things like their children's speech and prize giving day, school events, without having to take it away from their actual time off. So these are some of those things that if you want your organization to thrive or to be recognized as a people first place. So if you go and check organizations that have that great place to work tag or badge, it's because a lot of them are implementing most of these policies, which is one of the things I want to get in my organization in the next 2 years. Right? I want to have that badge because if I have one group, whenever they are putting out their recruitment, that link and the picture that comes with the link you not even see is the company's logo, is the Great Place to Work logo you see. When you see a logo with Great Place to Work, you will fight tooth and nail to work in that type of organization. All right. So that is the end of my presentation, and I'll be ready to field questions, comments, and opinions. Thank you. Any questions, comments, opinions? Okay, if you don't want to unmute, you can drop your questions. You can drop your questions in the box, and I will read it. Let me scroll through this. Yes, Ezino Biora says exactly. You shouldn't put it out there. Make it all inclusive. Open your hiring pool up. You just never know. And if your hiring manager gives that brief, it's your job to properly guide them. Facts. If I see a hiring manager telling me, oh, he has to be man, I will tell the hiring manager that this is not good optics for our organization. If we are trying to get the best people, what if the best person is someone different from what the hiring manager wants? It is the onus is on me as the human resource person to say, no, this can't work, right? Let's open it up. We don't have to have a closed system, right? Before we can get those sorts of people. All right, I have Victoria, Vicky Star and Beauty Ogbona. So let me see if I can unmute. Yeah, I can unmute from here. So Vicky Star, you can unmute yourself now and ask your question.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Thank you so much for this section. Just came timely.
Go ahead.
Now, they prefer to go in. You are in a situation where you're going with your leave booklet for the director to sign, and you're being asked, who are you handing over to? and you know you really, really need this leave, and someone is stopping you from going and they're telling you they'll pay. What do you do in such a situation? Because I have a lot of persons that need to go through that and they are being paid for it, and you know that they need it. What do you do? Thank you.
So I know quite a number of times this kind of issues come up, right? And if you have if you have a leave policy where people can actually hand over. Now, most times managers would approve leaves of people when they know that it's not the period where there's a lot of heavy lifting. So if there's the opportunity for them to hand over, let them hand over. However, if there's no one to hand over and this person actually needs to take the leave, you as HR should defend why the person needs to go on leave. And I'll tell you why. If you stop that person from going on leave, that person becomes disgruntled. Do you think the person would perform with the same vigor and fervor while they didn't go on leave versus when they come back from leave refreshed? Which performance do you think you will get the best of? It's definitely the one when the person comes back from leave. And the reality is work will always go on. So make the case. Let the person prove beyond reasonable doubt to you that, see, I'm only just taking 5 days or how many number of days. This is not due to this. This is not due to this. However, this one, I have already made provisions that when it's due, it will go through, it will be successful. You also need to have a session where you need to remind managers and employees alike that your leave is important and you need to go for it. And one of the examples I gave is if you do your matrix on leave and see the number of people who have been sick within a certain period, that is a justification for you to say, managers, please schedule leaves for all your team members. This is sick leave report alone. We've had quite a number of high sick leaves this period simply because people are not going for their leaves. As HR people, we should always use data. We should always use data to make a case for ourselves. If you are just going emotionally without having data to back up why you're making the case, nobody's going to listen to you. So those leave reports, those sick reports, those are things that you can use to have. Now imagine this person was having some health issues before, and you now say, no, I'd rather pay you, you need to stay back. If this person collapses on the job, and God forbid dies on the job, you as the HR, what is your next step? You're going to be doing a lot. Just because you didn't allow one person go on leave, you start chasing group life, you start contacting the family, you start working on other type of final payoffs. You now start looking for someone to hire. 4 things that you are going to do. Why? Because you didn't allow one person take 5 days to go on leave. I hope that answers your question. All right, Beauty, I'll ask you to unmute now. Beauty, you can unmute and I'll go ahead with your question.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for the session. So my question is around the performance management.
Yes,
I heard you mention that some organizations are now going out of the traditional performance management cycle where,
yes,
for example, they have to do appraisal either biannual or annual. And they now do like the monthly, either one-on-one monthly check-in or bi-monthly or weekly. Now, my question is, does this entirely take out the appraisal system for them? In the sense that don't they have a period where they still do the formal appraisal and have the ratings and the scores that align with their promotion or whatever happens after the performance management?
All right. So to answer your question, so remember when I said you still have that imaginary performance management cycle? Instead of having to putting yourself in a box and having to have performance that everybody knows performance appraisal period is the first month of every new quarter, right? All they look for now is offshoots. So they are doing regular check-ins. You are not waiting for PIP at the end of the period. You are not waiting for demotions at the end of a period. You are not waiting for promotions at the end of a period. The thing is, you are agile with such things. Yes, you have your performance management policies, but your performance management policy is flexible enough for you to address the same things that will be addressed if you were doing it either annually, biannually, or quarterly, right? You could also design things like quotas and also have exception quotas. So quotas would be
Please, let's just synthesize some patient. I think he's having a network issue. He will be back. He just dropped and he will be back. Thank you. He's back now. Thank you.
Unmute me. Okay, yes, thank you. Sorry, my network went off and just got reconnected. All right, so I was saying that irregardless of the type of performance management you do in your organization, you should be agile enough to be flexible to have those type of regular check-ins. So if you are going to adopt the way they do it at Adobe and how I do it in my organization, you should still have the same type of guidelines. Who does the performance management cover, the scope of the performance management, how the performance management is going to be done, and the offshoots of performance management, whether it's rewards or punishment. You should still have those guidelines. But how you now want to implement it is now dependent on you. All right, Chinenye Akwonu's hand is up. Can we unmute her?
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Yeah, it was quite an insightful one. So my question is, so I work with a group of company, and one of the challenges we normally would have is the issue of finance. So as a HR, I have people always coming to me and saying, HRC, I use my money to buy this, to pay for this, and it has not been refunded. I'm not going to put myself out again. I'm not going to use my money. I have lots of money lying with finance, and it has not been paid back and all of that. So I don't know. Okay, even though we've had a management meeting to say, okay, let's do this, let's move float accounts, let's do this and all of that, it has not really worked. So it's still same old, same old. In fact, I started off with an engagement that I do in my company as employee of the month. So we started with 10,000 naira and then a commendation letter. The last one I had to do after too many follow-ups with the accounts manager, I had to just use my money to do it. It took him 2 days plus too many reminders to pay me back that money. So all of this it's actually demotivates, no matter what you're even trying to even do to even improve their morale. So it still demotivates them. And so I really don't know what to do. Plus, Okay,
so
yeah, let me just stop
okay,
there. Thank
let me
you.
ask. Let me ask, how involved are you with your finance team? Because sometimes it could be finance is even too busy to address things around reimbursements, for instance. Because trust me, if your MD were to come and ask for money from that same finance team, you will pay it immediately, right? You need to have a sit down with whoever is in charge, whoever is doing the treasury management in your organization to say, yeah, see, you have a lot of pending reimbursements to do, staff are not happy. The conversation is not with management, it's with the user department. You need to sell the concept of people are giving back money spent immediately. They are willing to go the extra mile to do more. If you keep withholding my money, after a while, I won't even use my money anymore. And you can't blame me, because rights and responsibilities of employer and employer, one of it is from the employer is the employer shall provide tools, financials, to ensure that the employee succeeds on their job. So if you are going to be withholding my money that is supposed to help me succeed on the job, if you terminate me for poor performance, that's on you, not on me. Because I would have performed better or best if you had released those monies to me. So, I mean, you also need to look at the financial situation of your organization. Is your organization going through a financial hard time? If your organization is going through a financial hard time, then it means that a lot of things have to be worked where people don't need to spend money if you are not going to pay them back. If they are doing a lot of traveling, then maybe reduce the traveling, because if I have to travel and use my money and it's going to take a while for my money to come back, then you guys won't get the best out of it. So maybe reduce travels. If you are also looking for ways to save more money, if you're an organization that is coming in every day, maybe start thinking of hybrid, where you need to now start seeing where can we save money. We're saving money on NEPA bills, or saving money on diesel costs, so that we can use the excess money that we save in those places to start, paying employees that we need to refund in various areas. Are we together? I'll read more stuff. I have a Modu Padiwali that say, in a situation where performance appraisals are tied to salary reviews, how long will this be implemented with regular check-ins? It can be implemented anytime. It can be implemented anytime. So that I said it's an agile thing. It's an agile thing. It's not that you need to wait to a particular period. If you've looked at someone's performance over a period of, say, 9 months, for instance, and you know that this person, last time we increased person's salary was 18 months ago or 2 years ago. But between the time we last raised this person's salary at TK, this person has been consistently the best employee in this organization in terms of performance, right? Trust me, that kind of person, by the time the person even realize that this person I'm a star person here, and the people are not increasing my salary, they're already looking out. So there are people that you need to always hold close, your star performance. When you are seeing that this person is performing, at high standards every time, you need to have regular meetings with those people to say, oh, how can we support you? Even if it's 10,000 that your company can afford to increase the person's salary, do it. If it's just by changing the person's job title to make the person look very grandiose, do it. But just have something that will stimulate that person to remain in the organization. All right. Okay. The part about blocking off emails on one's leave makes sense. I'm all for this. Yes, because how many of you go on leave? You can just use emoticons to just show this, to react to this. How many of you go on leave and because you have your company email on your phone and you see those emails dropping, you start having heart attack? How many of you do that? You can just react to it. How many of you? Yeah, because your company email is on your phone, you just see it, you start having heart attack. Exactly. So if the organization has a policy that when people go on time off, they are not allowed to see emails unless they come back. implement it. Implement it. All right, another person goes, good evening and thank you for this insightful session. But what will be the best approach as an employee if the HR department is where the toxicity is emanating from and the whistleblowing goes to the same HR? If whistleblowing is going to HR and you're reporting to HR, I think their whistleblowing policy is skewed because whistleblowing is supposed to be anonymous. So I don't see how HR is supposed to know who is blowing the whistle. Now, where HR is the toxic place, HR reports to somebody. HR reports to somebody. The same anonymous way you want to drop it, right? Drop it to the person the HR reports to, right? And if the organization has town hall meetings, now one of the things that we should do at town hall meetings is have a communication that says everything that is discussed here will not have any negative impact on whoever is contributing. That way, you also put people at rest that they are free to talk and speak their minds. And you need to let line managers know that HR is watching them. Where somebody speaks up and then they are beginning to see that that person is going through some issues at work, just know that it's because that person spoke up that that person is having an issue. All right. So HR has someone that you report to. Speak to that person. If you can speak to that person, write an anonymous letter or anonymous note. At best, even have suggestion boxes, right? And let that person read it and speak to HR, and ensure that HR drives that change within the organization. Or if that person is in a position to visibly drive the change, then they should drive the change. But sometimes I also think if this person is not going to drive change, I should be a change agent in my organization. I've worked at an organization where the change agent wasn't even anybody in HR. And because people saw that that person was driving a culture that everybody would love to emulate, people started doing it. HR, which we like to take glory for that people. HR looked at, this person is doing something nice. Quickly did guidelines and did as if they don't have thought about it. But then it became a principle in the organization because we saw someone as a change agent, and everybody saw that the change the person had brought into the organization was working for them, right? So if you want to be the change agent, be the change agent. If HR is not going to listen to you, report to HR's boss. Let's see. Victoria Bimbola is thanking for insightful session. What if it's me, the HR, that needs the leave and they are not letting me go? Aha! So let me use me. I do working leaves, and when I do working leaves, I always let the people I'm working with know that I'm only going to be available between a certain time and a certain time. That is the only time I'm going to, and that is the only time I'm going to attend. Now, when I do that, the first day I attend to you, second day I attend to you, unconsciously, I don't know, it's always worked for me. Third day they be like, I'm sorry, I know you're supposed to be on leave. You know what? Don't worry, we'll wait till you come back. That has happened quite a number of times. But where I actually want to go for the leave and you're saying no, like I said, data would help you here. You need to sell a compelling story on why you need to go for the leave. I can even use myself as say, see, if me, I don't go for leave, that sends a wrong signal to other people that when they're ready to go for leave, they can't go for leave. And that is a bad look on our organization. Use puppy eyes, sell it, right? If I don't go for leave, people will not be encouraged to go for leave. And they start having backroom talks around like, but MD is going on leave. How come we can't go on leave? And we don't want, this is not the type of culture we are trying to push as an organization. You see, one of the things I've realized with CCS people, the moment you mention culture and you mention optics or people they tend to want to immediately shape up. They might fall back into the existing behaviors. But when you mention certain buzzwords, they begin. Nobody wants to be in trouble. Nobody wants to be in the bad books of their employees, or where employees go out and, or let me even use this, on job boards where people talk about their organizations like Glassdoor and Indeed. How many of you have gone to Glassdoor and Indeed and even searched your company and see what people are talking about? And then download that report and share it with your management. They'll be the one to push you to say, generally, we need to change this. We need to change this. We need to work upon this. We can't have people thinking about our organization like this. Right? So it's something that you should also look, it's something that you should also look into. You are required to work on leave or which heart attack. So like I said, you need to set boundaries, basically. You need to set boundaries. If you don't set boundaries, or if you're the type that has always, you can't go on leave, if you are quiet about it, or when you go on leave, you purposely respond to those mails, they'll always see you that you are available to keep doing that, right? So you need to set boundaries. You can just give them 1 hour of the regular 8-hour working time, or tell them you catch up on this, right? And that's why I said, if you are on leave sometimes, don't be in the States. You don't need to travel abroad. You don't need to go out. You don't need to go outside Nigeria. Go to Ondo. Go to one, what they call that place that has cold and hot spring. That's where you want to work. That's where you want to spend your holiday. Or if your parents are outside Lagos, tell them that you need to visit your parents. You've not seen them, right? These are things that people need to understand. You need to now start letting your co-workers, your line managers know that your well-being affects whether you're in the whether you're within the organization or not. So your leave is very important to you. Another person says, well, in my company, my annual leave is almost like my regular daily activities. What can I do, please? I'm sure I've spoken a lot about this. I think a lot of people have a lot of questions around leave. I think we'll have to have a session on leave policies, how to go on leaves and all that type, so that this addresses this. How does one handle a situation where you actually have to force or beg people to go on leave? See, some people, they are begging them. Some people, they don't even want them to go. They are indirectly sponsoring a culture of people not going on leave. Have leave calendars. Drop a leave calendar. Just drop a leave calendar. And once it's a month to people going on leave, start sending them their reminder. Send the reminder to the employee, send the reminder to the line manager. At that point, they know that they triggered to leave. And maybe not encourage paying people for leaves not utilized. So when I say leave not utilized, I'm not saying your leave allowance. I'm saying because some people say, I didn't go on leave. Won't you people pay me for it? When you stop paying people for leaves not utilized, they'll be forced to take their leaves. Before I go on, Omolola Akombi has her hands up, so I'm going to unmute her. For those, Omolola Akombi was my first Oga in a consulting firm. Omolola Akombi, you have the mic. I've unmuted you. You can unmute yourself. Hi, Omolola. Okay, I think she's not here again. Akintoye, you can unmute yourself too.
All right, good evening, everyone, and
Good evening.
Thanks for this insightful session. Don't mind that word insightful. So you really literally talk about what I really wanted to talk about the other time, right? Yeah. Which is just have a leave schedule. It works a lot. In short, it's one of the things I did last year, and it has literally reduced the headache I have when it comes to people even requesting for leave and then having the leave clash. That's another issue entirely. You can have 2 or 3 persons in the same department requesting for leave at the same time, and you're wondering, who are you even handing over to? Because the next person you're meant to hand over to is also requesting for leave at the same time. So that schedule works a lot and it helps you. So the issue I have literally, because I manage a group and it's about 3 subsidiaries, is when I request for my leave from one subsidiary, The other two subsidiaries are now telling me that we are sorry, we did not give you a leave, right? So it's more like, but literally, I cannot have an email come in. So far, it's not a request for a fund or that needs my approval. That email is going to take, as in, it's going to be there, except I just feel that I needed to answer immediately, right? But may God just deliver us from the spirit of opening emails during break time or during leave time. That's another prayer we really try to pray. But yes, my whole issue is literally on having to work with 2 or more subsidiaries, and one is literally telling you, we are sorry, we are not the one that gave you the break. It's the other subsidiary. By the way, maybe because the kind of culture we have built in our own company is, I will not pay you for not going on leave. So you know that you have to go on that leave. So even me, myself, when I'm requesting for my leave, I don't see it as a request. I'm seeing it as a notification because yes, they know I already have my leave already being scheduled. So I just notify the management to say, I'll be going on my leave, right? And I just go for the leave. So please, let's encourage people. And for the person that says that the management doesn't allow her go on leave, I think you need to let them know. If it takes you to dramatize, maybe you falling down or something, sorry, I'm saying this, right? Just do it. Because HRCF need help. We might break down, right? We might. So let's just be sincere. If it needs for you to dramatize and put drama and just faint one day in the office, please faint. So that the next day you're not bother to come to the office. That one is even sick leave and you will take it. And your annual leave is still pending, right? So I did say this on here. All right, thank you, Larry. We appreciate you.
All right, thank you very much. Moderator, please help us edit that part out. Don't dramatize it, please. So yeah, I mean, you're actually right about this. But I think for the fact that you work with 3 subsidiaries, all subsidiaries are supposed to report to group, and since you are the group head of HR, I think that should just find a way to cascade itself, right, into how you take your leave. Whether it's for this subsidiary or this subsidiary, everybody should at at group level, right? Your leave is valid for whatever time you want to go on it. Okay. Omolola Akanbi, I will mute you now again just to speak up. Yeah, I've unmuted you so you can go ahead.
Thanks, okay, so good evening, Laru. So nice to be here, and thanks for all that you do. Well appreciated. So I wanted to speak about inclusion, making your database for recruitment wider and all of that. If you work in consulting and you have clients that say they want a specific qualification, for instance, maybe they are only seeking to recruit first class or 2-1s. How do you deal with that? That's my question. But the other question was touching leave as a management staff. And but I think you've discussed that extensively, and you also promised to do a more
leave session.
Yes, it's session addressing that. So I'll just leave my other questions till then. But I need you to speak about those classes of organizations that require certain criteria, like maybe only a BSc and not a HND, or first class, not a 2-2, and stuff like that.
All right. So for me, this is how I'll approach it. Client wants what clients wants. If you advise clients and clients insist, in your brief, you don't need to specify. Just throw it open, right? And then just filter based on clients' needs. Throwing it open for me, putting those specific instructions into the job brief is sending a wrong message to your potential candidates, right? So you can throw it open without putting those specific things. Now, if you're using an HRIS, for instance, where some questions are asked while people are filling, these HRISs that after you even uploaded your CV, they'll tell you to answer 1 million questions. Have those things there that easily will filter away the requirements that the client doesn't want, and then you just have the pool of what the client wants. Now, If you've now gone through that cycle of what the client wants and you still do not get the required candidates, that is when you remind the clients about, remember the discussion we had about widening the pool, right? This is why we widen the pool. So now you said you want only first class. Can we now add those that had 2-1 or 2-2 to it? And they give you the go ahead. Already you have a database of those people. So you're not going back and increasing your turnaround time. All you do is go back and just increase the sets that you've put from first class and 2-1, and you have a larger pool. Send those people across to. Thank you. Victoria Bimbola has her hands up. I will mute you too. Please go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So I just quickly want to reply to Yetunde Akintoye's message, question about working with groups, and one group already released you, another group is yet to release you, and clashes here and there. So this is how I do my things when it comes to group, because most of the organizations I've worked with have always been group. Even the current one also has a subsidiary. So what I do is I plan leave generally, like as a group, not as each organization. So my leaves are planned generally. My leave timetable, like currently now, my assistant already started working on leave timetable. So it's done across board, not just for a particular group. Everybody knows when our leave periods are, and whatever company you belong to, it is a group thing. And so it is, ironed out together. So we schedule it together. So you are not saying that, because the accountant works for this group and works for this group, we will release him here, we will not release him here. That's probably because there's a clash, and each person, when it comes to leave, we are working as subsidiaries. It's supposed to be done as a group. That way, there would not be one person who is staying behind because one group has released him and another group was here to release him. Then about the person that just talked about recruitment stuff. I remember that in my previous life, I had that kind of issue too, where there is a particular criteria that a candidate needs to meet. And I still get to recruit, and I still get to meet that criteria without putting it out there. I am the one who knows what I am looking for. So I put it out there, and I'm only focusing my attention on those who has that quality. I am not going to broadcast it and let them know that, my MD does not like to work with this religion or whatever. I know what I am looking for. That's just what I want to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Victoria. Thank you very much for that. All right. No, I don't see any other hands up, so I'll just read the remaining comments and hand over to okay, Suanu, I think after Suanu, I'll just read the remaining comments so we can round up. We've gone way beyond our time. So Suanu, I'm unmuting you, so please just quickly your question or your contribution so we can read the remaining comments, and there's work tomorrow. All right,
you're right. Thank you very much. Appreciate the session. I was going to talk about what I just put on the chat, because we're discussing culture in organizations, and when we talk about leave, sometimes it appears that even the leadership of the organizations forget that annual vacation is a culture factor, and they lose sight of the purpose of annual vacations. So if we all have common agreement on why we should all go on vacation from time to time, then the idea of scheduling becomes a cultural alignment principle. And with the right delegation relief structure, things will work normally, and we will not have cases of burnouts or unnecessary disagreements over who should go, when he should go, and how he or she would go.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for the contribution. So you see this issue of leaves. I mean, everybody seems to have some ideas about it. Let's we the working committee come back to you guys on that. whatever session we're going to have, I think a lot of the questions we have are going to be answered, ranging from, how you set up your leave policies, how to ensure that leaves between, people within the same departments don't clash, up until what's the best way to approach your manager to go on leave, especially where you come from a organization where leaves are not usually encouraged. Because this is something that we've flogged over and over again. I don't want us to continue on that. So we'll come back to you guys on maybe not too distant date. I think I have someone on the working committee who is already working on slides for leaves. So we'll address this holistically. So I want to see the same set of people here at the leave discussion. So I'll just read the remaining, then hand over to Dr. Adeosun. So yeah, someone has also said you properly guide management and set the tone for steering how the culture should be. So HR is, which is why they say, what is HR doing? HR, you are actually a captain. You're holding this. The CEO might be holding the ship's steering, but you're actually holding the rudder. You're the one controlling how exactly it moves. And if you are not guiding well, then we'll go down the drain. Leaves are necessary because at the end of the day, people get to fall sick, admission back to back. Not just fall sick. Now, for most of the people in my generation, we want our leave. I won't lie to you, because heart failures every day. People are beginning to drop like flies simply because they are not taking care of themselves and they are walking back to back. The need for you to take leaves. I mean, there are lots of reports out there, even if you don't want to use your organization as a case study. There are case studies out there on the implication of people not going for vacation and how it tells on the health of the employee and the organization. So, like I said, your getting data helps you as an individual or as a HR to ensure that decisions are taken swift and are taken fast. So you set boundaries. If you know your job, I can back it up. They will listen to you. Well, some will. People are saying some will. I took a week break out of work during the festive period, and I was so happy nobody called. You need to see my freshness while returning back to work. I mean, you will come back fresh. Yeah, so thank you very much, everyone. Dr. Adeosun, thank you very much for the opportunity. I yield the mic back to you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one word will suffice to describe the experience we've had in the last 1 hour, 45 minutes. And that word is insightful. Ladies and gentlemen, let's unmute and tell Aderele Amosu how insightful tonight's session has been. We have the next 1 minute.
Very insightful. Very, very insightful. Thank you very much.
Very, 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 very insightful.
It was an amazing
Very
session.
insightful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For a great session.
Well done, Dean, really.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Adeosun, we can sign out now.
Yeah, so good night, everyone.
Thank you, Larry. We will not use insightful again after this session. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Insightful.